All right, guys, this is Crazy Kev here, and I'm here with the one, the only Diana Ramirez. Deanna, how we doing?
Doing great.
A fight coming up. I mean, talk to us a little bit more about this matchup that you have coming up here.
Yeah, so this will actually be my pro debut at 135 pounds, so bantamweight division. Going up against Whitley Brow out of Extreme Couture. She sounds like a really good prospect. She's looking to make her pro debut as well. And it looks like a pretty even matchup. She's a pretty well-rounded fighter, implements a lot of her grappling. I consider myself a pretty well-rounded fighter as well. So looking forward for us both making our pro debut and hopefully coming out on top.
Yeah, yeah. Now, with you making your pro debut here, I mean, talk to us a little bit more about your training camp and who's kind of helping you out for this upcoming fight here.
Yeah, definitely. I get most of my training done at Elite Kickboxing Academy out of El Paso, Texas. But I do cross train at Zen Martial Arts, specifically for judo. So I get most of my grappling at Elite Kickboxing and my striking, and then I'll cross train with some judo at Zen Martial Arts, which is also in El Paso. So those are the two main gyms that have helped me out the most during this camp. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, with you going pro now, I mean, what's kind of been the biggest difference since kind of going from the amateur scene to the pro scene as of right now?
Yeah, I felt like I didn't really game plan in my amateur career. I really just tried to be in the best shape that I could be and tried to like tough it out most of the time, and tried to depend on whatever skills I had developed throughout the years. I think the biggest difference now is that I'm going into this with a lot more intention and just being smart with my training, but also trying to implement a game plan. So I think that would be the biggest difference and sort of a mindset shift. Not that I'm not having fun going into this as my pro debut, but I feel like I get told a lot, like the amateurs really are for learning. Not that I'll stop learning going into a pro career, but there's like a more fun, like carefree aspect about it. And so just doing that mindset shift now going into the pros.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes a lot of sense for sure. And now, with that being said, as well, too, how active do you kind of want to be in 2026? How many fights are you maybe looking to have this year?
Yeah, I think I always aspired, even in the amateurs, to have like at least 3 fights a year, 3 to 4 fights a year. I really wanted to be active, but it's tough. It's tough to get matchups. It's tough, especially for women. And I don't know, I feel like it's been a little bit tough even in this weight division to get matchups. So it really just is dependent on availability. I want to be as active as possible as long as I'm healthy and able to continue. I actually really enjoy being in training camp. And so it always gives me something to work towards and look forward to. So um, I think it's a perfect timing to get a fight in April and hopefully fight like two, maybe three more times throughout the year. But again, we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, no, I definitely think that's kind of realistic, and yeah, we're looking forward to watching how the year unfolds for you. And now, with that being said, as well, too, I want to just also talk about as well, too, with this being your pro debut, what are maybe some of your goals that you might have with you and your career right now?
Yeah, I mean, I am coming off of a 3 fight losing streak by decision in my amateur career. I learned a lot from those losses, and so I guess the goal for this pro debut is just whatever the result is, I want to feel satisfied at the end of the fight that I did everything that I could. Now, especially with a game plan, that I'm implementing a game plan and that I'm just a more strategic and smarter fighter. I think in general, just for a pro career, I want to be able to fight as long as I can. I got into the sport late. You do see a lot of people that are starting now that have been doing this since they were really young. But I feel like we're also seeing a ton of people that are just going for it. Like, yes, I have a full-time career. A lot of fighters have full-time careers. But we make the time to make this work. And so I just want to see how far I can go. I want to see how far I can take this, how far I can go, and have fun while doing it.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's a good mindset. And I definitely think that's a pretty smart approach as well. Now you mentioned getting into the sport kind of late. Talk a bit more about how you kind of got into the sport exactly, and what kind of made you want to get into fighting as well.
Yeah, so I wrestled for a couple of years in high school. I started late. Even in high school, I felt like I was like behind no matter where I started. I didn't really do sports growing up, but the first sport that I decided to like fully commit to was wrestling out of everything. And so did that for a couple of years in high school. I was fortunate enough to start in women's wrestling at a time where it was starting to boom, even though it has continued to grow. It's one of the fastest growing sports is women's wrestling. And at the time, there were a lot of new college programs opening up that had scholarships to be able to wrestle in college. And so I was fortunate enough to be a part of that. I was at the inauguration for the women's program at McKendree University. And so I continued wrestling those 4 years in college. After that, it just MMA always interested me. It sounds really cliche, and I know she's been in the media a ton lately, positive or negative, but during my state for wrestling was when Ronda fought Liz Carmouche, and it was the first women's fight in the UFC, and that was my first time seeing women fighting on TV. So that kind of planted the seed. Then, as a senior in high school, then I obviously proceeded to go and wrestle for 4 years, and didn't really give it a try until I continued school after my undergrad, decided to go for it and join an MMA gym and fell in love with it. Moved back to El Paso. This was in St. Louis, and just continued there. Just kind of put my head down, started working. Really enjoyed just learning so much because I was new to jujitsu, I was new to judo, I was like new to the striking, and so that was in 2019, and ever since then have just continued training.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a pretty cool story. That definitely is pretty cool to kind of see how your journey's kind of been going now. And now you mentioned you were kind of wrestling for like over like 4 years. What was maybe some of your favorite memories with your wrestling journey that you had?
Yeah, I think just the camaraderie between my teammates. I think at the time that I was in high school, you could see developed like complete women's programs, but there were still some programs where girls would be it would be like one or two girls on a team, and it was mostly like guys. And the vibe really does change. Just being around guys or just being around all women. And so just being on an all women's team, like a complete all women's team was I think just a unique experience, especially with such a male dominated sport. And I mean, I literally made lifelong friends because of it. Those are still my friends now. Um, and so I think that's been my favorite memory of it. Also, the fact that, it was in the Midwest, far like on the other side of the country from being in El Paso, Texas, along the Mexico US border. It's just a different vibe, different feel. So I have very nostalgic and good memories from my time then.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely glad, everything kind of went well for you as well over there. And now, when it comes getting back into your pro debut that you're having here, you mentioned earlier in the interview you didn't think like your game planning was like the best, and that's something you're working on now. When it comes to like your pro debut, like, are you watching film on your opponent? And if so, like, talk to us a bit more about what you're kind of seeing going into this matchup here.
Yeah, I've been able to watch her last two fights, and I know my coach watched all of her fights that she's had. And so again, Whitley is a seems to be a pretty well-rounded fighter. So just preparing for worst case scenarios and best case scenarios in all areas, whether that's stand up, on the ground, my wrestling, I've been working my wrestling a ton in this camp too, a lot of scrambles. So that's mainly been the focus with the game plan going into this fight.
Nice, nice. No, I'm definitely glad you're kind of game planning in that aspect. And now when it comes to this fight, what's maybe your prediction going into this fight? How do you kind of see yourself winning here?
Yeah, I feel like every time I've been asked this, in like the past six fights that I've had, the intent has always been like to get in there and get out as quickly as possible. And I feel like most fighters want to do that, but I think later on I've kind of accepted that sometimes most of the time actually my fights go the distance, and I really do like grinding out these fights and enjoying every moment of just fighting and being in there. It'll be a slight change, obviously, because now we're going from 3-minute rounds to 5-minute rounds. We've been training 5-minute rounds even when I was in my amateur career. And so just, you know, maybe get in there, get out as quickly as possible, but if not, like, I look forward to a fight and just, a brawl and really grinding it out too, so, um, nothing will surprise me, and I'll be ready for it, I know I will, and, yeah, just looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, I definitely am looking forward to it as well. And now when it comes to your fighting career, what was maybe your favorite fight overall that you had in your fighting career so far?
Yeah, I think my amateur debut has been my favorite fight. That's really where I was gonna know whether this was something I was gonna proceed to do or not. And my amateur debut was kind of crazy. Like I got dropped in the first round. Context, I've never been in fights before fighting. Some people, yeah, street fights here and there, school fights. Like I'd never been in a fight before getting into MMA. And so to get dropped in my amateur debut, be able to come back and just basically end the fight on top was literally what got me addicted and kept me into fighting. And I think that's why my fights have proceeded to go and play out the way that they do, where I say I want to get in and out really quick, but most of the time it's just a grind in there. And so I think I really just do enjoy that. So my favorite fight so far has been my amateur debut, and hopefully my pro debut is just as exciting for me and for the fans.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely hope your pro debut is definitely just as exciting as well. And now when it comes to your amateur career, like getting started, like to maybe have like your very first fight, like as an amateur, what advice would you give to somebody that's looking to kind of get in the cage for the very first time?
Yeah, I think just trusting in your training, I think it all starts prior to walking into that cage is you just got to be confident that you've done enough and everything in your power up until that point. And that's just going into every fight. You don't want to go into a fight where you felt like there was a lack of preparation. And so and also just enjoy every moment of it, like the training camp, really take it all in when you get to, walk into the ring prior to the fight, and then the warm up in the back. It's also a really good time to, like, I don't know, just learn a lot about yourself. And I would just say, just take it all in. Don't take it for granted. And try hard and have fun, really, as cliche as that sounds.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely think that's some pretty good advice. And yeah, definitely been appreciating talking to you so far. And now with that being said as well too, I just also want to ask as well too. I mean, getting back into your fighting career, we've been talking about that a lot now. What do you kind of like to do outside the cage when you're not in there training and fighting?
Yeah, so I do have a 5-year-old dog. She's like a terrier mix, so she's been my first and only pet in my life. So I spend a lot of time with her, especially just, being away, working and training every day. I also spend a lot of time with my family. I'm really family oriented. I've been very blessed, unfortunately, to have a tight-knit family. And I live along the U.S. Mexico border, so I have a lot of family on the Mexico side. So I go to Mexico often too, and then trying to squeeze in time for my long distance friends and for my local friends too.
Nice, nice. No, I'm definitely glad, life outside of MMA has definitely been going good as well too. And yeah, it's been awesome talking to you. I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much, especially during your fight camp. What's maybe your final message out there to the fans watching this video?
Yeah, again, you can expect a fan-friendly fight. I go in there. Um, Trying to give it my all, and I think that that shows, and at the end of the day, win or lose, whatever the case may be, I just hope the fans can see, and it shows that I'm giving it my all in the cage, and hopefully it's a good time for everyone, and I'm excited to do my pro debut in El Paso, which I've called home for more than half of my life at this point, and just excited to put on a show.
Yeah, no, we're definitely looking forward to seeing you put on the show. And again, thank you so much for taking the time. It means a lot to me, and looking forward to watching your pro debut.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate the time and opportunity. It's been a
Yeah.
pleasure talking to you.